West Ham United welcome Wolverhampton Wanderers to the London Stadium on Sunday, coming off the back of that brilliant win in Europe midweek. It was our 10th successive European win at home at the London Stadium. And on Sunday will be West Ham's 50th Premier League game on a Sunday since August 2021. That's 13 more than any other club. It's fair to say we have become used to a Sunday kickoff. Gary O'Neill's side travelled down to the London Stadium. They've had a mixed season so far. They had some VAR dysfortune, I think it's fair to say. The game against Manchester United and Fulham come to mind. But overall, I think it's fair to say that Gary O'Neill has stabilised Wolves after the shock departure of Julian Lopetegui just before the start of this new Premier League season. Of course, after he was relieved of his duties, quite surprisingly, down on the south coast at Bournemouth at the back end of last season. So it's a game with plenty on it for both sides. West Ham have the opportunity, if results go their way, to push up to 6th in the Premier League, and if Wolves win, they could possibly push up into the top half of the table with all 3 points if they can do that. I hope you are well. Welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. It is the match preview for West Ham versus Wolves. The games keep coming thick and fast. We are well in to the thick of the festive period now, 10 days until Christmas, and we've still got about 4 games before then. So there's definitely no rest for the wicked, that is for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see how David Moyes sets his side up tomorrow in a game where arguably the Carabao Cup game next Wednesday is more important in my personal opinion. But it'll be interesting to see Moyes' stamp on it when we go through his press conference, team news, and much more a little bit later on in the show. So thank you very much indeed for joining me. Wolves are a funny side, aren't they? They seem to put out some, freak really good results every now and then they go and get battered in some games as well. I think they just lack probably the inconsistency that Gary O'Neill has been hunting for. I mean, brilliant win against Spurs last month, but then again, they've been battered a couple of games as well so far this season. Brighton gave them a good thumping towards the start of the season. So it's been a bit of a mismatch for Wolves so far, I think it's fair to say, but I think they'll be relatively happy with what Gary O'Neill has done so far at Wolves, and look, whether he's the long-term solution to Wolves or long-term sort of vision for Wolverhampton Wanderers, I'm unsure. I'm not a Wolves fan. I'll be interested to see, whether they think Gary O'Neill can take them into the more long-term future. I don't know whether that'll be the case or not, but he seems to have stabilised them really well. And they've played well at some points this season. I think he's addressed probably some problems that have been lingering and reinforced in recent years defensively, and the lack of goals that they've been scoring is still probably a prevalent issue at Molineux. But look, we seem to have a relatively good record against them, certainly at home. That is for sure. West Ham have won each of their last 3 Premier League home matches against Wolves. Of course, away at Wolves last year was not a memorable experience. The 1-0 defeat right at the height of Moyes' instability at the club last season, I think it's fair to say, and they capitalised on how really poor we were that day. But look, they're a side that you don't know. They're one of these mid-table sides where they could turn up and be brilliant. They're a bit like Palace, aren't they? They could turn up and be brilliant, or could turn up and be really dire and poor in the game. It's just incredibly dependent on what side turns up for sure. Let's see who we've got in the chat. P Gads, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Yikes, 10 days until Christmas. I know I need to go shopping. Wow, have you not been shopping yet, P Gads? Get yourself out there, get it done. I get it done nice and early, so I don't have to worry about it. It's all done and dusted. P Gads is good. Seems Wolves aren't so good away from home, and West Ham are pretty good at home. Yeah, I think the first point's probably relatively correct, because Wolves have, they've struggled away from home this season, and that's an issue that Gary O'Neill will want to address for sure. Well, Wolves are winless in 13 Premier League matches in London, so that's something that Gary O'Neill will probably want to address. The last side they beat in London was Spurs back in February 2022. That's a hell of a long time ago. Moyes has lost just one of his 8 top-flight matches at home against Wolves, so it's swaying in our favour if you look at it that way. Jarrod Bowen goal would take him to double figures in his 16th Premier League game this season, which is an incredible achievement considering I think he scored just above 10 last year. I'm not entirely sure how many he scored last year, but there's been a drastic improvement in terms of goals scored from Jarrod Bowen this season, and he is rapidly progressing towards the leading West Ham United goal scorer in all competitions in history. So I'm sure if he stays for a good couple of years, which his contract would most definitely suggest, he will take that record off of Mikel Antonio, I believe, who holds the leading West Ham goal scorer currently. Sharky, Christmas shopping is nearly done in our household the way it should be, Sharky, the way it should be. I like your organisation. It's very good. I think all of mine's done pretty much. Got 1 or 2 left. 1 or 2 presents left to seal up. See, there we go. And then all things will be done. Of course, 2 familiar faces will be returning to West Ham this weekend. The manager, Gary O'Neill, of course, had a short stint at West Ham as a player, and of course, the beloved, the superb, the brilliant Craig Dawson returns to the club. Let's just bring him up on screen. A smile will not leave my face. Craig Dawson returns to the London Stadium on Sunday, of course, playing for Wolves. And I hope he gets a good reception. I really do, because he deserves it. And Gary O'Neill was speaking in his pre-match presser today about Dawson, and he said this is not a comment on what West Ham have or haven't done with Craig Dawson, but more around us. I've been incredibly pleased that he's here. He's just one of those solid ones who you can just write his name down and he's going to get himself to the weekend in a good state, and he's going to come through the game giving all he can. He's really low maintenance with real high outputs, so as a manager who is really important to us and what we do. I'm delighted with how well he's done. He's incredibly important to me and the club, and hopefully we can keep him going at this level for as long as possible. It sounds familiar, doesn't it? Of course, Craigie Dawson doing the business up at Wolves now, and I'm happy for him. If he has an absolute stinker on Sunday, I'll smile, but I hope he gets a good reception because, yeah, he did a lot for West Ham, and he was written off from the moment he signed for the club, and he proved every single person wrong. And I just hope everyone stands up and gives him a nod of the head and a nice clap when he returns to the Bowl on Sunday. Because I like him more than most, but Craig Dawson, an excellent servant to West Ham United. Lawrence, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Big Dawson. Exactly. It only took you 7 minutes before. I tell you what, I was quite impressed with that, actually. You know what? I managed to go 7 minutes talking on my own against Wolves without mentioning Craig Dawson, but I did get him in there, of course, didn't I? He's an absolute legend. He does deserve a warm welcome, and he was absolutely brilliant for us. And look, I just hope he gets that. He gets that reception when he returns. Look, Wolves, let's go into some team news, shall we? I did have a screen with all the team news on, but it seems to have disappeared. Wolves boss Gary O'Neill hoped to have Rayan Aït-Nouri back in contention following an ankle injury, but O'Neill has reported no new fitness concerns among his squad. So there was just another couple of issues around Matheus Cunha, Hwang Hee-chan, who has done really well at the start of this season. I think he's up there with Jarrod Bowen at the top of the tree for Premier League goals so far this season. So he's the man to watch, Hwang Hee-chan, that is for sure. Neto and Lamina have been injury concerns, but are expected to return to the squad on Sunday. So, of course, apart from any late injury concerns from Gary O'Neill, there isn't going to be too many players sidelined for this game. So it's going to be a full-strength Wolves side up against, well, will it be a full-strength West Ham side? Let's have a little discussion about that, shall we? I expected Moyes to rotate a few more last night, actually, in the Europe game than he did in the end. That shocked me. And I can just, if it was me, I'd be resting a few tomorrow on Sunday, sorry. Because I think the game against Liverpool in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup is far more imperative. It's far more important in our season. Yes, we'd like to win this game, but if you were to offer me one win in our next 2 games, I'd 100% take it in the cup game. No doubt about it. That's what I do, and I'm hoping that's what Moyes is sort of line of thought is going to be. Maybe give Benrahma and Fornals and Cornet a game and rest some of those key players that are going to have to play every single game in December. But if we could just give them a little bit of a rest, some recuperation time, and just some well-earned, just some well-earned rest ahead of that massive game, which I think is more important. Will Moyes do that? He'll probably play the starting lineup that we'll all expect. He'll go full strength, and then we'll be incredibly tired on Wednesday up at Anfield. But if he was just a little bit more proactive, a little bit more smart about it, I think he'd rest a few looking ahead to Wednesday night. Let's have a look at some of the team news David Moyes has discussed in today's pre-match press. So we need to wait and see how the lads are after the Friday game. He said Edson Alvarez got a knock on his hip, but we need to see how he is. We'll assess the players when we have the chance. It's such a quick turnaround. I don't think there is enough time between games, states David Moyes. Does that mean I'm going to be rotating aside? I don't know right now. We'll see how the games go and how the lads are performing and where their energy levels are at. It's the same for all managers and teams at the moment. We all have the dilemma with this number of games. We also have a Carabao Cup game next week that some teams don't have, so we're in a busy run. Hopefully we can get through that, which would then give us more games in January and make the schedule even more busy. But all the teams at this time of year have got a heavy workload. So Moyes has sort of stated and reinforced the harsh, but it's for everyone, fixture schedule that we've got to endure through this month. And he's just sort of fishing for a bit of sympathy there. And I mean, he asked himself a question about rotating, and he said he doesn't know whether that was a sort of ploy to whether that was a deliberate ploy because he knows what he's going to do, or whether he doesn't know what he's going to do on Sunday. I've genuinely got no idea. I've stopped trying to think like David Moyes and get in his head a long time ago. I realized that was pretty pointless because he could do absolutely anything. But the predictability in my expectations will probably shine through, and he'll start the first team starting lineup. He won't rest anybody, and will be just a little bit ragged, I think, on Wednesday night, which is unfortunate. But I'm here to be proven wrong. I'm here. I'd start Kehrer on Sunday. I'd start maybe even Creswell, dependent on the opposition's sort of pace, which hopefully we should be now analysing in the lead up to the game. The midfield is a dilemma because if Alvarez is fit, he's got to start, let's be honest, because he's so key. He's so key to that side. So, look, he's missed a couple of games in recent weeks, so he shouldn't be too fatigued. So Edson Alvarez, if his hip issue has been resolved, which fingers crossed it has, he starts no brainer in both games, as probably does Souček and Ward-Prowse and probably Lucas Paquetá. But I don't think it will hurt just to rest one of the big boys, either Kudus or Bowen, even for 45 minutes on Sunday, just to give them a bit of a relief, a bit of time off, because as we've mentioned relentlessly, the fixture schedule is relentless, and we've got to keep up with it. And these players, we've learned all too many times playing in these European competitions, when we play 2 games in a week, and when the same players play 2 games in a week, then it shows. And I just hope that we don't see that implication too heavy in the next couple of weeks. Right, let's take some of your comments and see what you're saying. Creswell at left back, maybe it's a potential option. Emerson, of course, is the starting left back, and he is the best left back at this football club. But if we want to rest some players and have some more fresh legs for Wednesday night, then I'd be all for it. If that's Moyes' mindset, I'll be happy to take that on board. 2-1 to the Hammers, says Lawrence. Let's hope so. West Ham really missed Dawson on the set pieces. We certainly do. If he pops up and scores a header like that flying salmon he did so many times, I think I might literally turn around and kick the chair, to be honest with you, because I will not be able to handle it. Imagine Craig Dawson with James Ward-Prowse whipping the balls into the box. It's just, it would be brilliant, wouldn't it? No Creswell, says Lawrence. Listen, I'd take it for a bit of squad rotation, to be honest with you. Mandy says, we are not qualifying for Europe in the league or getting relegated to play a weaker team Sunday. I 100% agree, Mandy. Yeah. Gary outlined this point last week on one of the shows, where we're at no absolutely no threat of getting relegated. We are realistically not going to be good enough to qualify in the top 7 for European competitions next season. So our only, as it was last year, our only realistic path back into Europe next year is these cup competitions, either going and winning the Europa League or going and winning the Carabao Cup. That would rustle some feathers if we went and won the Carabao Cup, because then one of the European spaces will be taken off league position, and everyone will go into meltdown because we're not going to finish in the top 7, that's for sure. So that's our main route through. So I plead with David Moyes is to just show some priority to that Carabao Cup game on Wednesday, because it's far superior. It's far more important than a game against Wolves at home in the Premier League. We're not going to look back at the end of the season and go, oh yeah, that Wolves game. We're going to look back and go, oh yeah, that opportunity we missed in that quarter final of a cup competition. Yeah, some people take the mick out of the Carabao Cup. You can all you like, but it's a path into Europe and it's a trophy at the end of the day, and that's where the priority should be this week with David Moyes. And I just hope his views align with mine. Sharky, I don't particularly want to see him playing in terms of Cresswell. I wouldn't mind it, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind it. We will see what happens. I would take a Dawson header. Oh, wouldn't that be brilliant if he scored an own goal? There would be a collective rise smile around the London Stadium if Craig Dawson scores an own goal. A frantic and an unfortunate own goal tomorrow. That would be rather amusing. That is for sure. But look, they're a side that are inconsistent. Wolves are a side that can cause problems. Hwang Hee-chan has been incredibly influential and very, very good in front of goal this season. He's scored 8 goals so far in the Premier League, and he's really showing his quality. So he's the main man that we need to try and maintain and sort of defend well. And look, no defensive mistakes, no silly errors, and hopefully we can get through the game with no injuries and a minimal effort ahead of that huge Carabao Cup quarter-final tie up at Anfield on Wednesday. The weeks are not getting any quieter for West Ham, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 West Ham. I'm sensing that we could take that success in Europe midweeks, that confidence into the Premier League for once, and show some class and be a bit controlled and composed and convincing at home in the Premier League, because let's not forget the Premier League at home this season hasn't been fantastic, has it? We've lost some pretty poor games and have lost some pretty poor points at home this season. That Everton game springs to mind, the Crystal Palace game a couple of weeks ago. We've lost some games at in the Premier League at home which we shouldn't have lost, and this is a game where whatever side we put out, we should be realistically not losing. So we need to pick up something from the game. Well, we don't need to pick something up from the game, but we should be picking something up from the game and moving swiftly on with some hopefully fresh legs on to the cup game on Wednesday. 2-0 West Ham, a goal from a set piece coming off the head of Naya Fagerd and either Kudus or Bowen to get themselves on the score sheet again, because they seem to be doing that week in, week out. I think when West Ham beat Wolves, Man United and Arsenal, they will be in fourth. Love it. 1-0 says Sharky and the trophy emoji. I would take that. A clean sheet. Well, we haven't had a clean sheet since the end of September, so we're gonna have 2 in a week. They're like London buses. Let's go for it. Let's go crazy. A clean sheet, 2 goals, a convincing performance, not much stress. Pretty much the same as last night. Hopefully, let's hope that is what the doctor orders. Some beautiful emojis being showcased by Lawrence in the chat. Thank you very much for that, and I will leave it there. We are going down to Southampton tomorrow to watch Southampton versus Blackburn, so keep an eye on the channel for content around that. And then Sunday, we will be heading up to the London Stadium to watch West Ham versus Wolves, of course. Then Wednesday, we're going to Anfield. So we've got 3 football matches in 5 days, 3 vlogs coming your way. Strap yourselves in. We're popular at home because I'm literally going to be spending the next few nights just sleeping in this place and then leaving to go to football. Once again, we've got a stellar weekend of football to watch, and I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully West Ham can end the weekend off in a high and give us some confidence ahead of that Liverpool game midweek. Craig Dawson returning, give him a good reception, a positive performance. Hopefully Alvarez is in the side, some confidence continuing to build, hopefully in the side. No defensive errors, and if all that happens, I will be a very happy hammer. Until next time, thank you very much. Come on, you irons, and I will see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.